What's good, fam? This is Queen Common Sense coming back to you again from the Chi-Town, holding it down. Peace, one love, mod, one family, one tribe. I'm coming back because I just want to really come and talk about some mother-daughter drama from these so-called elders who were supposed to be the sage wisdom for us coming up. Our generation, the 60s and 70s and even early 80 babies. And my first sentiment is thank you. I want to thank the elders for really training me and training my mind and sharpening my mind the way that they have. Because some of these mantras and old wives' tales and fairy tales and installations of fear, tactics, and emotional manipulation, it really kept me alive. It showed me how to really survive, pay attention, and keep my eyes and ears open to bullshit. I want to thank especially the person who brought me forth and gave me life, because without that excruciating emotional manipulation and emotional pain, I wouldn't be here sitting in front of this camera today. And half the shit that I went through, I probably would have killed myself had I not had the type of upbringing that I had. And I'm really want to touch on it because, excuse me, there's a lot of women who have endured the same type shit, and experienced very similar childhood and early adulthood issues with this type of dysfunction. And in my recent research and study and on this and really taking a deep look at it, I realized that, it's this type of personality disorder we call narcissism. And, old school would say self-centered, selfish bullshit. And I'm starting to really bond a lot with some of my fellow sister friends because they have shared with me certain things that really, to the average motherfucker, throw you for a loop. And I have to say, I'm so over the bullshit. I'm over the emotional manipulation. And not only did it almost fuck us up, well, it did. It fucked us up. And now it's starting to touch our children. So it's fucking with 1, 2, 3 different generations. And it's very widespread in the black community, but it's not, discussed or really talked about. It's kind of taboo. And it's, these women that raised us, and as, from me personally, some of the shit that they say and how they supposedly training you and teaching you how to be a woman and how to be a lady, it's the most unprofound, upside down, uneducated, ignorant shit I have ever heard. And it's not any rationale to it. It's all fucking emotion, emotional manipulation, mind games, tricks, control, riddles, and damn metaphors and shit that just don't make no damn sense. And then a lot of it is some stuff that they just kind of make up as they go along, And I notice a lot where, the women of the elder generation, the ones that's supposed to be so smart and intelligent and have sage wisdom, advice, they really have not emotionally developed. Some of them are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And their mental developmental stage is that of a juvenile, 12, 13 prepubescent ages. And, you know, it has affected me to the point where, you know, I am really over the bullshit. And it's time for me to pass out a whole sit-down card to some of my elders, with all due respect. Because I learned very young, as a very young mother, that in order to get respect from your children, you also have to respect your children. And that is age appropriate and situation appropriate. But overall, your children deserve respect just as much as we do as parents. And that's something a lot of our elders did not do. They didn't give a fuck how we felt, what we went through, what type of emotional place that we were in, distress we was in. They didn't give a fuck. It was do as I say, not as I do, and this is my house and you my property, and that's pretty much it. You don't have no feelings, emotions, you don't have no rights. You just have a responsibility to do what the fuck I say. And that created a lot of problems in a lot of us, the next generation under them, because for a very long time it was all fear-based tactics and mind games and manipulation to control and dominate and dictate. So as you get older and you start to analyze this stuff and break it down and look at it for what it really is, a lot of the shit is a lot of hot air and, like I said, metaphors and semaphores and mental and emotional manipulation, guilt tactics and sibling triangulation, rivalry type of planting the seed so that you can fuck with and be the referee and cause your kids to turn on each other, and then you get the attention because everybody come to you to referee the shit as the mother, the matriarch, and the alleged leader of the village, the tribe. The first teacher is the woman and the mama. So she's looking for her children to come to her, and each child comes and takes a piece away of information away from the situation, and it's always the opposite of what it really is. And then, you know, once all the pieces are put back together again, it's never ends up the way that it started in the first place. And this is all dysfunctional, twisted, sick shit that developed in the minds of our mothers and some of our grandmothers. And they don't even realize that's what they do because they've been in that mode so long until they think that's functional and healthy. And then when we discover that that shit is time-wasting, manipulative, Munchausen syndrome type shit, and we stand up and try to break that cycle, they think we are the ones that's dysfunctional and they the ones that's functional and normal and healthy, and you can't tell them shit. And I found out, you know, just in my time frame of watching this shit unfold and looking at it from a objective point of view, that a lot of these women have really assimilated so far into the European mindset and society, the way the power structure is and the way things are set up that are geared more toward European-like standards of living and standards of culture, they don't even realize it. And their mind is so twisted and bent. They have developed the same insecurities as the Europeans have, and they become their own oppressor, and then they become oppressors of their own children, offspring. And so that's the generational curse that's linked up from them to us, and then it fucks with our children down the line, because we emulate and repeat some of the same things with our children that they did with us, thinking that it's right. And we just keep on reciprocating the house nigga, slave master, buck dancing mentality, and keep reinfecting generation after generation of our people. And we are perpetuators of our own demise once that starts to occur. And in order to break the chain, you have to cut the cord from this dysfunctional shit and stop allowing it to control, manipulate, and run your life. And some of the insecurities that these women behold is jealousy of their own children and the life they lead because of the opportunities that have opened up to the younger generations. The elders feel like they've missed out. And then they're miserable within because they know not who they are. They have no knowledge of self, understanding or overstanding of their metaphysical, emotional, or spiritual self. They based on ego, pride, and manipulation. So it's real complicated, yet it's simple at the same time. And it's like, when you experience these type of situations and you go through life and you think that we're taught to respect our elders, it's programmed in us to do that. And then there are certain universal laws that you just don't cross and break, you know. But then there's others that you just have to call it as you see it and really set your boundaries and let the motherfuckers know that just because you older than me don't mean you got some motherfucking sense. Just because you up there in age, you know, it's some old fools, in other words. With age don't always come wisdom. And sometimes the older these motherfuckers get, the more ignorant they get. And the more twisted and fucked up in the head and delusional they are. Because then dementia starts to set in, old age, forgetfulness, and certain types of mental disorders and developmental deterioration comes along. And they develop Alzheimer's or, you know, things like that of the mind. And then it's hell to pay because then half the time they don't remember what the fuck they said or did that really fucked you up and threw you for a loop. And the other half of the time they remember, but they rather label you as a lie versus accepting and owning and taking accountability for the damage that they do with their manipulation tactics, guilt tactics, and emotional blackmail. And I've experienced all of the above. And it's more than a notion. And I have to say, I'm very grateful for that shit. Because it taught me to be razor sharp and be on my P's and Q's and pay attention to every fucking thing. And every word someone says to me, I'm analyzing it, breaking it down, and re-evaluating it to see if it just makes sense and add up and is rational versus emotional shit. And they running game, running script on me. You know, you gotta be a real clever motherfucker to have somebody on an emotional leash of guilt, blackmail, or any type of manipulation to control someone for the greater portion of their life. And then have them so emotionally and mentally confused as to what's real and what's not real, what's to be respected and taken as a lesson and what's not, to the fact that you can control your child's life for 2-3 decades with this shit, this type of dysfunctional shit. And the very key is, like I said, to cut the cord. We have to cut the cord on this and call it out as we see it. You know, because some of us are really in tune with who we are and in tune with reality versus fantasy. And then others are really intimidated by our elders, and they feel like it would be disrespectful to tell them that they just lying, twisted motherfuckers. And tell the truth. It's supposed to be politically correct. But it causes problems in the lives of those children who are now grown, who are looking to start their own life, their own relationships, have their own families, children, careers, even just medical, physical health, aside from mental health and happiness and balance. It causes problems all across the board, 360 degrees. And as some of us, we can cut the shit off, cut them off altogether. And some of us, it works out where once we redraw our boundaries, they get the picture and our elders fall back a little bit and see the mistakes that they made parenting us. Then in turn can be corrected when grandparenting our children. And then it could be so far on the other end of the spectrum that it's so fucked up to where you can't even deal with the motherfuckers, and then anybody connected to them is just as fucked up as they are because they keep feeding their sickness and coming around catering to all this emotional, self-inflicted drama that the elders place upon themselves and anyone around them. And it's so deep and so rooted and so tightly wound up till the individual elder has reached a stage in their life to where it's impossible for them to see anything different. They set in their ways and they don't want to change. They feel like they shouldn't have to change. And because they've been holding on to Jesus' unchanging hand, that the only people they got to answer to is God and His Son, and that will get them over the hump to the pearly gates, and they gonna make it in with their wings and halo. When they the first one that's gonna bust hell wide open with the bullshit that they've been running and the emotional blackmail and manipulation that they've been performing on their children and granddamn children. But I'm very thankful for the shit because it made me who I am today. And it got me through and it helped me survive and really be able to take the red pill and not the blue. You know, for a minute, I was asleep for a minute. But once I had children, there was a supernova type effect that really gave me epiphany to wake up to all the bullshit that my parents and elders had been throat fucking me with all my life that just didn't make sense. And because I was really, controlled, and I had a lot of, very strict guidelines, I wasn't exposed to other situations that other families, and use that as compare and contrast to what's really healthy and what's not on parenting and how to communicate with your children in a healthy fashion so that they don't grow up thinking that the world is, out to get them and gonna swallow them up before they even get set foot out there good. And nothing comes without a price. Parents feel like they get duty confused with love. Your duty as a mother, as an elder, is to protect, feed, clothe, educate, and teach basic life survival skills to your offspring. Our elders get that shit confused with love. You're supposed to do those things. And they use those as bargaining chips and tools to manipulate and control and dictate and dominate and intimidate your children. And that's not healthy and normal fucking behavior. Love is totally different. Love is automatic, unconditional. It's a verb. It's something you do. You can't buy your children with material shit. That's not love. You know, you can't provide a certain type of lifestyle for them, you know, beyond your means, and then you turn around and beat them over the head with it as soon as they fuck up, make a bad choice, or get in a bind. That's not love, elders. So, you know, y'all are gonna be a little pissed at me with this one, because, you know, I'm gonna be here for a minute breaking this shit down. You know, love and duty are two different motherfucking things. And when you say you love your child, that means you're there to support them and teach them and nurture them, and you're emotionally available. So when they have any type of challenges in life, and they have any type of bridges they need to cross, and they have a difficulty, that's for you to be there and teach them and walk them through and show them your mistakes and triumphs, so that they can kind of get a grasp on you being a human being, the individual that you are, and help them by example. You can't have this do as I say, not as I do shit, because then that's going to be, you know, create a motherfucker like me that's going to want to dig around in the skeletons in your closet, in your past, and find out why is, you know, they so hell-bent on me not doing this shit, but they act like they've been saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost all their goddamn life. And then when the bone do pop out, it's like, you know, Agent 99, Cloak and Dagger. We're not going to discuss that, because it's not about me, it's about you. But it's in the natural order of things to look at someone's background who is accusing you or pontificating to you about what not to do and how you live in your life so sinful, and you know, you a heathen and whatnot. So when we are being judged and pontificated upon, it's natural for us as grown children to look at our elders and go, did you forget that you was 21, 22? Did you forget your youth? You never did nothing? And you start to question and wonder if you're awake and aware, and you're trying to make rational sense of this shit versus letting them drive your bus and play on your emotions. And I'm just real over this shit, because it's starting to affect us as a nation deeper than ever before. You know, we can no longer totally, completely blame the white man for our issues and downfalls and still being at the bottom of the motherfucking barrel, because we are reciprocating and reinfecting this generational curse upon our legacies, upon our children, which is the grandchildren of our parents. And we need to wake up and look at these things for what they really are. It's a trick of the enemy to keep us oppressed, depressed, and fucked up, and having all kind of motherfuckers live rent-free in our head, so we cannot think rationally, clearly, and begin to educate ourselves, versus letting the European standardized educational system throat fuck us and our children. We are the only experts on ourselves and our children. No amount of elder advice can give you the etherical, metaphysical, emotional connection to your children than you. And we need to really wake up and open our eyes to this shit and think about it and analyze it and start creating a dialogue amongst ourselves, ladies, so that we can figure out why we're so angry, why we have this displaced anger, and why we're murdering ourselves and murdering the spirit of our children by reciprocating and re-offending, recreating the same offense over and over again, generation after generation. We are perpetuating and repeating the same cycles over and over, and we look back and go, God damn, I said I wouldn't grow up and I wasn't gonna be nothing like my mama, but then you end up just like her. You're saying the same shit, doing the same shit, using the same form of discipline, punishment, consequences for your children, and they grow up to the same goddamn thing to their children. And then you got that one who's awake and woke to turn around and tell all y'all about y'all ass. The elders, the grandparents, the great-grandparents, and setting shit straight. Because hypocrisy is not a way to raise your children. They're conflicted, twisted, two-stepping, fence-riding, bitch-ass shit that y'all put down to us back in the day. It's really played, and I'm so fucking over it, and I'm ready to move the fuck on from it. Because it's not helping us advance mentally, emotionally. It's not helping our family stay together. It's not helping our daddies stay at home with their daughters. It's not helping our mamas raise our sons any better than what we are now. In fact, it's getting worse. Worse and worse. And the younger these girls have babies, the more fucked up and mentally damaged and developmentally delayed they are. You look at an 18-year-old today in 2011, and they have the mentality level of a 12-year-old. You go back 20 years and look at an 18-year-old back in 89, 1990, and they were emerging and growing and progressing mentally and emotionally, and the maturity level was being enhanced versus regressing. And it's also environmental. We know that. It's in the food, the water, and the fucking synthetic drugs, and the pollution and the chemtrails. That takes a part in it too. However, the first teacher is the mother. And we cannot forget that. And if they teaching dysfunctional shit, you gonna raise dysfunctional children. I don't give a fuck how much you make a year. I don't give a fuck what neighborhood you live in. I don't give a good goddamn how high society of a lifestyle you live. I don't care how your labels match on your clothes. It's a generational emotional curse called narcissistic personality disorder that our black women elders suffer from. And they so busy trying to control us adult children and use our children to manipulate and hold on to the past and live in the past and stay stuck in the era is fucking us up worse than Uncle Tom and Willie Lynch, because it's our own remixed, reevaluated, reinvented bullshit. And leave it to black people. We could put a spin on drama that no other cultural people can do. And it's 10 times worse than what the slave master did to our ancestors. So, you know, this is really going out to the ladies, especially the mothers, my sisters, my sister friends, you know, my fellow colleagues. We really got to get our shit together and start talking and comparing notes. Because like I said in my other video, I am my sister and she is me. We all got the same fucking problems. You know, we all got the same issues and inner insecurities, the same quirks, and the same fucking bottom line. You know, our community is surrounded by dysfunction. And it started with the Europeanized power structure in society. But it's no longer 100% the responsibility of the white man for our problems. We are re-offending and reinventing and re-perpetuating the same shit to each other, generation after generation after generation. And I'm so fucking over the shit, and I'm ready to really kick down these motherfucking doors of dysfunction and take some names and really put an end to this bullshit, because it's ripping families apart. It's ripping marriages apart. It's ripping relationships apart. Mother against daughter, son against father, father against daughter, mother against son. And the most that are suffering behind this bullshit is our children, our babies, our future. We ain't gonna have nothing to look forward to if we don't look at this dysfunction in the eye, this demon, and tackle this problem and really accept responsibility for what the fuck we do to each other on the daily. So I'm gonna give the elders a whole sit down card, because they need to sit back and let us take the reins from here and unspell some of the goddamn spells and spider webs and lies and shit that they've been programming us with for fear and manipulation tactics, so they can have us around to cater to them, wait on them hand and fucking foot emotionally, and feed their goddamn dysfunctional sickness because they're miserable within. So they need to come bring, misery loves company, and they need to bring us and keep us miserable with them so they don't die a goddamn alone. And it's hard to cut them motherfuckers off because we feel obligated. We're taught to respect them regardless to how they shit on us. So, shit rolls downhill. And it's starting to fuck with our younger generations. It's starting to make us upside down, where the kids is running the mamas and daddies, and the mamas and daddies is scared of the children. So I'm here to flip the bitch back upside, right side up. And my eye is in full motion. So I just wanted to put that down for you today. It was on my heart, heavy on my mind, family. And I just had to open up this discussion so that we all can get together and gather around this beast and whoop its ass and dispel the myths that the elders have been fucking us up with for the past 2 decades. It's time out for the bullshit, because it's touching me and it's touching mine. And I know many fellow sisters, sister friends that I've talked to, is touching them too. And it's really fucked up. It's painful and it's a battle. So we need to really come together and start this dialogue and take accountability for owning some shit that ain't even ours, for one. And renouncing and denouncing and rebuking the demonic bullshit that our elders have poured down our throats for centuries, over and over again, not even knowing and realizing what the fuck they doing. So that's my piece for now, family. Been a little long-winded, but I gotta catch up. Peace to you from the Chi-Town, holding it down. One love, my aunt. We gonna kill the elder, do as I say, not as I do, bitch ass bullshit. Peace out for now. Queen Common Sense out. Hotel.